Hello. This week, my learning goal was to learn more about Google Drive and incorporate more of the components of Google Drive in my previous weeks in learning. The previous weeks, I had already gone over a deeper understanding of Google Docs and Google Slides, as well as Google Forms and Jamboard. So I had an understanding that everything here would be saved on Google Drive. So I wanted to see how better to utilize this particular resource and delve deeper into Google Drive itself. So the resources that I used this week were mainly sites like I have been doing previously, but I went in ahead and I used this particular site here where I read the sections, and this one had little pop-ups of how to do the things that they were describing. So that was pretty interesting because it was like a combination of both reading and practice. So I went through each one and I practiced on how to do each one of these tips. As I did that, I also learned how to properly shorten links, which I actually hadn't thought about before. The other resource was a one stop area for Google Drive Learning, and this is provided by the Google support site. Something that I liked about this particular site was that it also gave you hyperlinked options on how to do each one of the steps. And the third site that I used was YouTube. I found that I really enjoy watching the videos and practicing. So the learning strategies that I used some different ones. I did the one where I would try it out, and then I had a discussion with my wife about what I was doing, and I saw that that made me feel a little bit more confident because it was kind of like I was trying to teach her or show her. I also used, of course, the trying it strategy, especially because I wanted to uh, try out what I was watching in the videos as well as what I was reading in some of that content. So in my learning accomplishments, this is a layout of what my drive now looks like. So what I did was I thought about how I could use what I've learned to organize my drive better. So that's what I did. I went ahead and I reorganized my drive. I looked at how I could color code, which is something that I learned through the process of watching and trying. Um, so every week that I'm completing, I'm color coding that. And this is just a little recap of what I used as far as my reflection, things that I learned new, right, were something like when you can access the docs, sheets, and slides by adding the dot new afterwards. So that kind of adds on to the previous learning that I had done. And it's really about motivation. I was very motivated this week on how, by learning through Google Drive, I was able to make those connections to previous learning that I had. So, in connection to my article, I felt that that motivation that was mentioned in the article just increased my willingness to learn, and making that connection and making it relevant even made it more interesting for me. So I can see how all of these products that Google has are meshing together. So I have a lot of confidence in the buildup of my upcoming Google site.